Welcome back to 33 Conversations. I'm your host, Michael Abney, and today's conversation is about a pattern that every founder faces every time that they dive into what they're building, but we really rarely ever talk about it. And it's this concept of being in need mode, that emotional frequency where what we want something so badly that it actually pushes the thing that we're creating further away from us. And today, I'm happy to have this podcast with Steve Linton. He is the author and speaker and creator of The Frequency of Success, somebody who's built life by rebuilding his own self image. We had a great conversation whenever we on our pre-call. It was actually that really impacted me in a big way when we started to hit that conversation about the need mode and how automatic and how well I realized I had covered that up. And so I can't wait to dive in that today with you. So first of all, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is awesome. And I also just want to kind of start off on like what is present for you right now as we're recording this. What are you in the middle of?
Wow, I don't even know where to begin, Michael. I've got,
That's why I start these shows off like this, is
I've
because
got,
there's so much stuff happening.
y- you know, they say that boredom kills, but I think there's probably another end of that spectrum because I've got so many things going right now that I honestly sometimes can't keep track. But first of all, Michael, thanks for having me on. I'm super excited about our conversation. My goal is for, your listeners to get something out of this, even if it's just one little nugget that helps them, you know, take their life and business relationships, whatever, to the next level to get out of that need mode funk. That would be my goal for today. So, as far as where I'm at, um, I'll just say this: always busy and always looking to better myself so that, I can help other people learn from, things that I've been through that I don't want to go through again.
Exactly. That I've had moments like that where I'm never going through that again. And I find myself in a lot of aspects revisiting those spaces over the past couple of months. I mean, I know we're all going through a tremendous transformation globally. We're all a part of it. We're all connected. I'm feeling it. Seeing it. Some days I'm really good with it, and some days I'm like, oh my God. and um, but it's also I'm learning to radically accept what is right here in front of me. And from that perspective and what you were sharing, like how hard it is to keep up, what was the moment before all of this took off? What was for all of us, there's this pivot moment that, life is this way and all of a sudden something happens. Like, what was life before you started down this path? I know you've got a really rich, incredible background. And I'd like you to share a little bit about, give us some context for what you're sharing today.
I'd be happy to. Um, I'm going to give you the disclaimer up front. Sometimes I get a little emotional
And I got it. I got it.
when I go back through this. And, you know, I ended up homeless after college. Um, got out, got out of college with a master's degree. All my flight ratings was ready to just go, make my impact on the world as a professional pilot. Only problem was that nobody was hiring. None of the airlines were hiring. There was a few guys getting jobs. They were usually people, military pilots going to the airlines. So I ended up in corporate in charter flight, uh, flying the
Hmm.
small business jets.
Yeah.
But I was making no money and literally $408 every 2 weeks. One night I'm sleeping in a parking lot in my car, and there was a time I was eating food out of trash cans, behind a Wendy's or something. And you just have this awakening that there's there's got to be more to life than this. I met a gentleman who he told me, "You know what your problem is?" I said, "Well," he said, "It's your attitude." He said, "You don't expect to have success, and you're in need mode all the time." And I said, Well, I was going to argue, and I was like, I wanted to argue with him. But before I could even say anything, I realized he was right. And that that led me to all the principles and techniques that I not only use and practice, but also share with other people because it has made such a profound impact on my life, not only on my life, but the people around me. Just, you know, need mode kills. And as long as I stayed in need mode, I needed a job, I needed money, I needed a place to stay, I needed everything. And as long as I kept telling my subconscious mind that I am broke and I need everything, and my subconscious mind is giving me exactly what I'm asking for. And it wasn't until after that that I learned to stop telling yourself that you're broke or that you need this or you can't make it because of this or that or whoever, your boss. And I figured out that all I have to do is trick my subconscious mind into believing that I'm already successful. I'm already where I want to be. And that's done through visualization and affirmations and some meditating and really reprogramming your self-image. And that's how I got past those dark days, sleeping in my car and eating out of trash cans.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for sharing that. And that space, I don't care if we stay the whole podcast right here because it is collectively where we're all at right now. I feel it. There are people that are on the podcast, like I work founders and people like you that are creating these out of the box things for humanity. And the whatever's happening on the outside's never been present before. I've never felt it this deep and this collectively where like I feel like we're all sort of in that moment right now where you were at um energetically and the steps of where you were at where we're at right now as humanity and then those next steps to activate what you're talking about, these other gifts that we've never really taught that we had, and how freaking difficult it is to like break that chain of that automatic fear-based keeping you suppressed, um like that angst. I feel it like on the planet now. And I know what you're I know it. I've done it. But something about what I'm up to now is causing me to like energetically revisit that. And like agreements that I had, like everything from the past that I am now having to
Sorry.
bless you.
And a
Literally bless you.
and a bunch of sorry.
No, it's perfect. You're clearing for us. So I would like to just settle into this moment and like literally talk about some actions that first you got to be aware of it, like for me, but like there's a paralyzation that I experienced and I'm feeling right now with what the hell? Like every day there's something else that occurs where it just literally grabs your attention like it by the throat, and I I'm trained not to pay attention to that, but I'm noticing because I'm allowing myself to be allowing my this community aspect of myself to be present. See, it used to be just me. And that's actually I can still do that. But I cannot let go of that I'm building a community for mission driven founders. I'm committed to my own community here in the 314 that is it pulls heartstrings. There's an energy to it that I want to be a stand in the middle of all of that chaos for people that are building in my own communities. Let's just say community as a whole, since we're talking about the collective here. What is where do we got to get before we start pretending, or is it just a declaration? Like, what's your take on it? What's
You
your
just nailed it, Michael. You just nailed it. It's a declaration choosing It's making a choice not to be in that space. You know, I get that anytime I'm taking on some kind of new venture or I'm venturing into kind of unfamiliar territory, you're going to get that paralysis that you're talking paralysis of analysis or just fear-based paralysis because I'm afraid of making a mistake. What if this doesn't work out? That is sending those messages right to your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind thinks, "Oh, he wants to fail." And then your subconscious mind starts creating that reality and putting those stumbling blocks in your path. And therefore, it becomes a vicious cycle. You know, we're attracting more of the same thing we're trying to get away from. So just make it a declaration that, you know what, I am this is this is my path. This is where I am. For me, I chose to look at the end result. What is the end result? I'm happy, healthy, wealthy. I'm so happy and grateful now that I have become a top income earner or whatever it is that a person seeks. You have to see yourself in that environment. You have to see yourself in that place before it'll ever take physical form. It's you've heard of athletes running the race in their mind before
Right.
they ever step foot on a track. And getting out of that need mode and that fear-based thinking requires us to see ourselves at the end result before we ever get there. That is telling our subconscious mind that this is who I am. And your subconscious mind says, wow, this is the new reality. That person
Hmm.
is successful. They are whatever it is that they created in their mind. And then the subconscious mind starts putting things in your path, opportunities for that to become a physical reality. And that's in short form, cliff notes, that's the process that I went through. And what I can tell you is I like being on this side better than on the paralysis side. I've spent a lot of time there and I don't care to go back.
Yeah, like I can see where you as you're talking, like so I did make a line in the sand that I was gonna step out and be in the community. Well, it's weird. Like you put it out there and you think it's gonna be X and that what you envisioned isn't what showed up. And I think I got trapped. So I did the remember the event I was talking to you about?
Right.
It happened. And it really ripped me apart. Like I think big and like it was gonna be X, but it ended up being like 50 people, which is a miracle. And it was exactly what it was supposed to be. It was never if it would have been bigger, it would not worked for the first one.
Universe has
And
an amazing way of bringing things to fruition.
exactly the way they're supposed to be. So here's my mix. I think I'm getting trapped in the things that I thought my mind wanted to create versus there's some sort of happy medium or blend or something, some world that I'm getting my wires crossed. And that's mirroring out because I'm attracting people like that are in that same sort of boat, which accentuates the need to correct it or fix it or somewhere or discover whatever's like in the way because I feel the constraint of it. And now, like the next week, I had lots of people reach out and I did a call just on Sunday nights. I started it last week and I'm going to continue it no matter what, if nobody shows up. But last week, 5 people showed up. It was beautiful. I loved it. And, but the energy, it, it doesn't really take off the way that I thought it was. So sometimes I think I make up that didn't work out the way it was supposed to be or did something wrong. But I'm using this as an example, but this is kind of like a theme for me that I am sort of noticing right now on a granular level. If the money's flowing and everything's is working, you don't really take the time to like stop and like get this level of clarity, which is required, I think, of the moment. And I just love to hear what you're hearing and see your take on that. And because if this cleared, that line in the sand becomes that line in the sand again instead of being all messed up.
Here's what I'll say to that, Michael. I really think that in my experience, if I set a goal to do something and it doesn't work out, or it works out a little bit, but nowhere close to where I thought years ago before I, you know, started figuring stuff out, I just would give up. Well, the universe doesn't want me to be successful. No, but somebody's holding a black cloud over my head.
Yes.
What I figured out was if you don't reach your goal on the first try, it doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means you got to keep working. If I set a date and that date arrives and my goal hasn't been met, I just reset the date, change it up. It's it's not that you're failing. It's just maybe there's a little more to do in the process to get where you want to go. And that has worked for me. Um, I guess what the short answer is, just don't give up. You gotta keep going.
Yeah, I never do, but like some days it is just a bitch. It's just a bitch.
I've had those too.
Yeah. Um, no, I never do. I never have. Don't plan on doing that now. But there's sometimes I get where, well, now that I'm saying it out loud, I get aware that I'm pushing.
And sometimes
Yeah.
that's okay. And,
Yeah.
but
Recalibrate, like like allowing that your adjust to things that are happening so fast that you can barely keep up with it. Um, and the other thing too is I did have an incredible amount of stuff that happened that is miraculous. Meeting people I never thought I'd meet before. We're connecting. I've got meetings set up tomorrow. Like there's all kinds of wonderful stuff, but I for some reason I'm allowing I've kept myself so isolated before so that I wouldn't have to deal with it and keep my frequency right. And now I've crossed the line that I'm not going to do that anymore because isolation was a problem. I didn't want that anymore. I want connection. If I'm going to be that, if I'm going to be that for the world, I've got to be that in my own life. And I'm traversing new territory where as an empath and feeling all of those things, I've got it. I'm getting, I'm working out. I'm like,
well, let me ask you a question. Where is your fear level? Do you have any fear in this whole process? And
mm,
on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think your fear sits?
the only thing that's present is the fear of the unknown.
Okay,
And
it's still
sometimes,
fear. And
yeah,
and there's 2 things that tie together very closely, and that's fear and need mode. Need mode comes from fear. Need
yeah,
mode comes from, what if I don't make it? What if I don't have enough? What if I can't afford it? What if I can't pay my bills? What if I don't have a place to sleep? That creates fear. You know, that's need mode creating fear. Fear is the number one thing that holds people in mediocrity, keeping them stuck. And I don't suggest people try to conquer fear. My suggestion is coexist, work around it, find a workaround. You know, it, the fear is going to be there. It's like the first time I went skydiving. I didn't have a lot of fear because I was super excited, but I became a skydiving videographer and I would do videos for people making their first jumps. And the fear is unbelievable, even for people that want to do it. But here's what happens: 10 seconds out of the airplane,
I know.
they completely, all the fear is gone because they realize that this fear was created in their mind. They created a story because they didn't have the info. They don't know what it's going to be like, so they create the story in their mind. I'm going to feel like I'm falling. The ground is going to rush up at me. The chute's not going to open and we're going to die. And inevitably, I've never had anybody die. I did have a guy break an ankle, but that was another story. Um, most of the people come down and they say, "Oh my gosh, that was amazing. That is nothing like I thought it was going to be. I
Yeah.
want to do it again." Well, what that tells me is that they were afraid of something that they had no information on, so they created their own information. And once they got past that, now they've conquered something that they were deathly afraid of. And here's what happens: those people start looking at their life if I just accomplished something that I was deathly afraid of, what else could I do? All
Yeah.
those goals and dreams that I have that are not as scary as jumping out of an airplane, I could be knocking the crap out of those right now. And people realize, wow, I can do anything.
I've jumped out of a plane once, and I was not scared until you start scooching up to the
Yeah. Yep.
because I was the first one in, last one out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the guy that was doing the tandem with me, because when they jump, there's nothing except for that, like looking down. And I totally remember that. It was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing I've ever done in my life. This is so much fun. But it it was it, you just said something that cracked I've never heard before. When we make up our own information.
That's right. In
Okay.
absence of information, if there's fear involved, people will create their own version of what they're going to experience even when they have no idea. And skydiving is a perfect example. Flying. There are people that get on airplanes, but they're completely white knuckle flyers because they can't figure out how does this thing stay in the air and how does it not run into other airplanes? Well, that's a whole long story about how the system is designed. But the fact
Hmm.
is people create this stuff in their head because they don't have correct information. And that supports the fear. And the fear, again, blocks all success.
Yeah. I and I can see where I did exactly that. I'm making up information about whatever I think is happening on the outside, why it's not connecting the way that I thought it was instead of focusing on what actually happened. So that's been in my blind spot. I have never heard that before. So or heard it that way before. That clicked. Because if I fear and also too with everything I'm consciously not um I mean, you can't help from know what's happening everywhere because it's everywhere. But at the same time, I'm not like watching the news anymore. I gave it up. I don't like so it's a combination of not only not making up a story, but also not allowing anything on the outside that you're hearing drips and drabs of also to make up that story. It's the damn story.
And that's all it is a story. It's a story that you or I or somebody else has created in their head, and it's now ruining or ruling, I should say, it's ruling their life until they choose to go move past it.
It's like you're making that story up, or it's like you're walking the dog or the dog's walking you. You're writing your story. You're writing your story, or your story's writing you.
And here's a good example. You just brought up walking the dog. This made me think. You've heard the old expression, if you're afraid of the dog's going to bite you. That is absolutely true. And it's energy. This is the fundamental principle of everything that I've built my success on is energy attracts like energy.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Always.
if I'm afraid of the dog biting me, the dog feels that and it thinks that's what it's supposed to do, bite you. Now
Yeah.
let's transfer that into real life. If I'm afraid of failing at my next venture, my subconscious mind thinks I want to fail at my next venture. And it doesn't matter if it's business, finance, relationships, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It all applies the same. These principles will apply to virtually any area of your life. And it's just raising your vibration so you're attracting results that are on the same level as what you of where you're at, your energy. But most
Mm-hmm.
people, just like I did, I spent my younger years in this low vibratory funk. And what did that do? It attracted more funk
Yeah.
and junk in my
Yeah.
life.
Okay. Yeah. This is really good. Um, yeah, see, it's already a half hour. I can't believe it. um, I want, I want to leave today with three non-go for somebody that's like can make a line in the sand. Like today, if they're listening to this, for me, it's like right now, a line in the sand. I'm clear about this. Like micro aspect that has really jacked some stuff up for me. I am drawing a line in the sand. I get it, and I'm gonna write my own story. What are 3 actions that I do every day and when, from your perspective, micro actions that I can do every day that support me creating my own story, staying aligned from your perspective?
Number one, first thing in the morning, minimum 10 minutes. I like to do 15, sometimes 20 minutes if I've got that time, but I'll spend 10 minutes right when I get up visualizing my end result, whatever that is for that, goal. If I'm venturing into a new space, whatever it is, I'm visualizing myself having success, already being in attainment of the successful outcome that I'm looking for. I do affirmations, meaning, I'm so happy and grateful now that I have successfully accomplished this goal.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Spend 10, 15 minutes doing affirmations, and the visualization is the important part. The visualization is where you close your eyes and you actually see yourself being, doing, and having the things, be, do, have. Be that person, do the things that that person would do to be successful, and you will have that success. Be, do, and have all that in your mind. See it clearly. Use all your emotions. How do you walk? How do you talk? How do you dress? Who do you interact with? What do you drive? And it's not materialistic. It's so that you can tell your subconscious mind, this is my new reality. And your
New story, yeah.
subconscious mind starts to say, this is my new reality. Okay, let me get to work. So that's the first thing. 15 minutes in the morning, and then also right before you go to bed. That is the most powerful time to reprogram your subconscious mind and your self-image, is right before you go to bed, because you spend 15, 20 minutes visualizing and doing affirmations while you're asleep. Your subconscious mind is working, 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 working. The other thing, that's two things. The other thing I would do is that non-negotiable thing is goals. I write out my goals in present tense, just like I was saying a second ago. I'm so happy and grateful now that I have achieved this. I write them out in present tense. They're in a contract form. It's a contract with myself.
Mhm.
I sign it. There's a full, elaborate description of what that goal is. And then I put it in one of the binders on my bookshelf. The other thing I do is I have a achieve goal binder, and I'll look through my achieved goals, because people say, well, that goal binder thing's a great idea, but I don't have anything to start with. And I say, BS, you do. What I did was I took an empty binder and I thought about all the things that I've ever done before I ever got into personal development that I was, proud of. Well, graduated from college with a master's, got all my flight ratings. Uh, I was a Marine Corps vet. You know, I became an author. All these things that I was able to do, I wrote out. We can kind of retroactively put these goals in a
Mhm.
goal binder. So from day one, I open it up and I'm looking at, wow, I've done some cool stuff. I've done some amazing stuff. Because what that does, if you're having one of those days where you're like in that funk, you're in a funk, I just don't think I can get moving today. Open up your achieve goal binder and just look at some of the cool stuff that you've been able to achieve. And don't be shy. You have to give yourself full credit. And
Mhm.
and that can be the difference between you staying in that funk and getting out of that funk and achieving greatness that day.
Yeah.
Those would be my non-negotiables.
I love it. And I've that was a natural part of my life, but then I went on auto coast, once you achieve get busy. You get busy and like that kind of goes in the back.
I will add one more non-negotiable, and that is I regulate or limit time around negative people. Because let's just use a corporate environment, for example. You know, people get out of bed, the first thing they do is turn the news on, they listen to all the crime and corruption, death, destruction, and political violence and whatever overnight. And now that's what they're populating their mindset with
Yes.
right from the start. Then they
Hmm.
go out and they get in traffic. It's terrible. It's terrible everywhere.
Yeah.
Then they get to the office and, oh, the boss is not in a good mood today. People gather around the water cooler and they just talk about, oh, did you hear about so and so? Yeah, really?
Yeah.
It's all negative crap. And I limit or regulate the time around these kinds of people because if you can't put up a shield and willingly push that energy off, it's going to affect you. Negative, you know, they say, show me your 5 closest friends and I'll show you
Hmm.
what your life's gonna be like.
Yeah.
If you hang around with millionaires, you're going to drift towards millionaires. When I was in sports, I played with people that were better than me because it made me better. I'd become more like those people that I hang out with.
Hmm.
So I've chosen to regulate and sometimes limit time with those kinds of people. And somebody asked me one time, they said, well, what about family members? It's no different. You can't cut them out, but you can
Yeah.
definitely create exit strategies for holiday dinners and things like that if you don't want to be negatively affected by their energy. So that's
Yeah.
my third non-negotiable.
I love all of this. It, you just, if, you know, I've been doing this for a really long time, and there's something really profound about. be- I'll relate to something else first, then it'll make sense. So, like, I love making bread. Like on a Saturday, just like get everything cleaned up 'cause it's so simple. 4 or 5 different things. You could just be with all of it. It's just awesome. And those 4 or 5, you never know what's gonna really show up either because it could work one time and it's the same thing, but like there's something. Yeah, it's just magic. And like um that's what today was like for me with you.
Well, good.
Was like you reminded me of like there's these simple things that are the foundation for all of us to really grasp, take on, and embody in a new way today, now, and getting that real in the world is committing to it, line in the sand, calendars, alarms, whatever you got to do for 3 days to get that started. And then if you do it for 3 days, you could do it for 3 weeks. If you could do it for 3 weeks, you could do it for 3 months. If you could do that, you just do it. That's how I quit smoking. That's how I did all the things. Like any habit truly that I really wanted to shift on a granular level in a major way takes that 333. And I just want to say that because I want it in the transcript. So when I
Hey,
read this
hey,
back, that's
there's 3 words that I use a lot with people that are telling me their stories about why they're not having success. Do it anyway. Well, I don't want to go to the gym today. Do it anyway. I don't want to call prospects. Do it anyway. I don't want to place marketing ads. Do it anyway.
but anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
That's the difference between successful and mediocrity.
Yeah, because if you're not, you're just making up a story. Yeah. Yay. Thank you so much for bringing your authentic self today and like sharing. I needed that today. I needed that reflection back, and you're incredible. Where do we get the book at? I just wanted to know. So it's going to be on Amazon.
It will be on Amazon. It's due out. What's the date today? The 22nd. It is due out in I think 2 weeks. Um,
Okay,
2 weeks, and you can get it Amazon Kindle. Uh, you can pay for it, but it'll ship out. And the Kindle is obviously Kindle form. The book will be available through Amazon, and then
that's right when this probably will come out. I got a feeling because it'll probably be like 2.5 weeks. So keep me posted on that. Just text me so that I know. But I really appreciate it. It's
my
been
pleasure.
awesome. We yeah we did our job today.
Michael, I'd love to come back and visit with you again sometime. I've had a great time. I
I
appreciate
say the
it.
exact same thing. Yeah, absolutely. Next season. Next season. I'm winding down. We're at 23 done, and I'm
Congratulations.
almost at 33. Yeah, this won't be in this season, but every season is going to be 33 new conversations. So yeah, absolutely, 1,000%. Awesome.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you guys for listening. And if you're going through what we were experiencing today, let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And keep creating a community, sticking together. We will get through all of this as we grow and as we evolve, and never forget the basics. See you guys later.